I mean, you've said quite a lot there.
Yeah,
And I have quite a few comments. And I think first and foremost, and I can already agree to the fact that marriage is unfortunately something that's not taught.
Yeah,
again, I speak for myself when I say this.
Okay.
My perspective or my understanding of it is that just generally in life and in your upbringing, we're not taught marriage.
You observe, you see it from your parents.
And we develop this idea of what marriage is through what we either see in our parents, through our aunt and our uncle, through our friends' parents. You know what I mean? You see it.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, people see failed marriages, failed divorces, and people see successful ones. And so for me, coming from a family that has got two parents that have split up, you know, I'd always at some point yearned for, you know, parents that I could look up to and be like, oh, I wish I had parents like that.
Relationship goals, marriage goals.
I wish my parents were my friends. I remember growing up thinking that a lot of the time. I wish my parents were my friends. I wish my parents were like John's parents or Cece's parents, that type of thing. And again, like in me being the man that I am right now, in me being a family man, I look back to my life and I think to myself, sheepers, you know, like I wasn't taught marriage. I mean, like just something as simple as ilobola and like understanding like what happens and my hubby saw, and you have to go to your wife's side of the family. They have to do all these family practices. Just things like that aren't taught. You experience them through heritage as they're happening in your eyes. So I think I first want to say that that unfortunately as individuals, both men and women, I don't think we're taught what marriage is. Or at least I wasn't. I wasn't taught that this is what you have to do as a man. By the time you get to 18 or by the time you earn your first salary, and I just make sure, even if you don't have your partner, even if you don't have a girlfriend, even if you don't know if you want to get married or not, just make sure you're putting at least that 500 rand every single month from your 20,000 so that you can slowly accumulate ilobola. So when you do find the right person, you're not struggling and starting from scratch and saying, where am I going to find this money? You know, just like simple things like that. Understand, just teaching people that, hey, listen, when you date, don't just date just for the here and now. Don't just date because you want to have the hottest looking girl. Date because you want someone that you could potentially have a future with. Otherwise, you're just wasting all those years, you know. So I think it's very, very important for
that I'm still young. I can just afford to.
So I think it's very, very important to instill all these values and principles. And again, like I think as parents, you also have that from an observation point of view, you have a responsibility to your kids to make sure that what they're observing in a marriage,
what you are portraying there,
is something that they can then live up to and exemplify when they grow up. So coming to me, so again, like I wasn't an observer of the best marriage. You know, my parents, at some point, you know, the relationship also became quite abusive. My father wasn't always really there. So my father, like, he was at home, but he wasn't present. You know, my father also made a lot of mistakes and whatever the case might be. And I guess I used that to turn what my definition of marriage is around. And I always told myself that my marriage and me being a father figure will not be what my witnessed version of what marriage is will be.
You will turn things around.
So my parents have divorced. Me, I'm not going to divorce. My father was not a present father. I will be a present father. If my father was abusive, I will not be abusive.
Yes, sir.
If my father raised his voice, I will not raise my voice. So I've used that to turn around what I think that definition of marriage will be for myself. That's number one. And number two, because I know that I am not experienced in marriage, because I know that I do not know what marriage is, it's important for me to make my wife or my wife to be know and understand that, hey, listen, this thing that we're going into, I know marriages traditionally are centered around the fact that a man leads the household, and all of that stuff. I'm saying to you, baby, when we go into this thing, we're going into it together. I'm learning marriage. I'm learning marriage with you. You know, I'm not going to lead you per se. I'm not going to. Yeah, there's exactly. Both our shoes hit the floor. You know? I have a vision, and so do you.
She's also smart.
Yeah, you're also smart.
This person can think.
And I was saying this to a group of friends of mine in a group chat this morning. That like we're all autonomous creatures, right? And I think it's important to firstly understand that you're autonomous and that you've got your own belief systems and value systems. And when you meet and marry someone else, you basically it's a combination of values and visions and goals that you obviously try and center and you try and merge them into one goal. So my ideas, my values, my principles are no better than what yours are. And also, again, growing up with in households where we've seen men make decisions, there've been lots of failed decisions and failed mistakes. I mean, especially, and again, let me take this back to me. I must always remember to take this back to me. I mean, I remember like my dad made a lot of mistakes in our family, but it's because he always thought that he was the man. He makes the decisions. He's the one that's earning the most amount of money in the household, so he must listen. And he made so many mistakes. And then like my mom would always come back and be like, but I told you so. You should have listened to me. You should have this. You shouldn't have diminished my opinion and diminished me just because I'm a woman, just because I earn less. And for me, again, in defining what my marriage is,
this is how I'm going to do
partner
things.
is equal. We both decide things together.
Yes,
and it's also important to humble yourself and be like, you know what? I'm a man. I want to be right.
Yes.
I want to lead, but you know what? Baby, you take the reins on this one. You lead.
Sure.
Let me follow you.
I think, we do things the same way.
So it's a constant push and pull.
Yes.
And I do not think that a household has to be led and governed by a man. And obviously, traditionally and naturally, there will be things that men do that women don't do. There will be things that women do that men don't do. You know, again, it's nice to receive a meal on a tray and whatever the case may be, but it does not mean that maybe that is your role to cook for the household. I also want to go to cook and So I think it's important. Sorry if it feels like I'm just saying a lot, but I think it's important to form and create a definition of what marriage is with the person that you're about to marry. Because at the end of the day, it is your marriage. This is only the two of you. When you guys
should be telling you how you're supposed to be living with this person for 20 years, 40 years.
And you know, do not be ashamed of whatever you and your partner agree to. So now if Dimelo has agreed that there's no one house, there's no one a person that leads us household, we lead together. When you go out in the streets and we're sitting with our friends and people are like, my wife does this, and Dimelo, now it's his turn to talk, and Dimelo says, no, me and my wife, we make decisions together. Don't be ashamed.
Yeah, don't be ashamed.
Because now, also in doing so, you're imparting knowledge into other people to say, guys, there's more than one way of doing this thing. No. Yeah.
Even with me, man, I think I do things the same way. I collaborate with my wife. Because remember, if you watch my solo episodes, I did highlight in the beginning that I come from a broken background. So I didn't have a father. So I don't even know, first of all, how it's like to be a husband. I have no reference of this thing. Also now being a father also. So I don't have a reference for anything. No blueprint, nothing. So how can now I can have that kind of mentality of when I don't have knowledge, a little bit of, yes, I must apply myself and define it like you are saying, this is how I would like things to be. But it helps to also have that foundation of whether it's good or bad, then you can work around that.
Yeah.
So I came zero blank. I was born as Anele Ngolhlobo, and then boom. Okay, now Anele wants to have a family. Then I had my family, my wife. Then I decided, no, it's going to be a collaboration. Yes, I'm a leader. Yes, I'll bring the vision, right? I'll bring the vision. Not execute it without consulting with her. You get what I'm saying?
But it's also important to realize that she also has a vision.
Has a vision
she also has a leader, and she can lead in different ways.
That is why also, I think also that is why, yes, because we must not sideline. That is why also a man's vision must be, I feel like it must be big enough so that it can be like an umbrella whereby we can also fit in the woman's vision under to see if it complements. I'm not sure if you're with me.
I'm with you, but I disagree. But I'm
with you. I'm with you. What I'm saying is, I brought, in my case, let me just speak about it. I brought my vision to my wife, and obviously it gets developed over time and over time. My vision is so big for my family. It increases its legacy, my family's legacy, over time and over time and over time. But I don't feel like my wife feels trapped within this setup. She contributes in it and she engages in it. It's not my thing that she's helping me with. That's not the case. She's part of this thing, hence the decision making.
Yes.
Now, she's also, when I say umbrella, big enough to accommodate both of us. This is our thing, remember. We're doing this thing together. It's not me helping me with my thing. No. It's our thing. We are also benefiting, both of us, financially from it, right? Sharp. So then also, she's able to do her stuff. She's able to be herself and do her legal things on the side. So she's not like when they say helpmate. Because I think because they want to be independent, no. They feel like they're going to be trapped now. I'm supposed to be a helpmate, and then what about me? No, you can still push your thing. Yes, you are here to help this man build this thing, empire thing, but you are able, that's why he must be so big there, so that naye akhona ukufita in somewhere somehow akwazi kwezinto zakhe. You understand? That's what I'm trying to say, basically.
And I hear you. And I guess like if I were to stick to the use of your analogy of having your umbrella, your vision is big enough for a family. I'm not like disagreeing and saying that is like the wrong way of doing it.
Yeah.
I believe that I have an umbrella.
Yeah.
And my wife has an umbrella.
Okay.
And there's a vision and a dream that sits underneath me, and the vision and the dream that sits underneath her. When you combine the two umbrellas, now there's joint cover where everything because now we've combined everything. The area that surrounds us both.
Yes, there's a big shade.
Encompasses both of our vision and our goals.
Yes.
And I think it's also driven by the fact that like both me and my wife, like we are both like hardworking, we're both driven, we both have goals, we both achieve this. Like we're both like hard workers. And for me it's because we want to be a power couple.
Sure.
and want to be a power couple, and you want to have a powerhouse.
Yes.
And to be a power couple and powerhouse, you need both entities within that household to excel.
Yes.
Versus having one that does the excelling and then one that forms part of that. And yes, like you support that person.
Yes.
Because obviously it's impossible for that one person to be the power of the household without support. But I think for me, specifically what I want and what we have discussed for each other is that we both understand that as individuals, we both have responsibility to be as great as we are, so that when we come together, we just exponentially multiply the benefits of what will come from both of our efforts.
Don't you think now, I understand fully, there's different ways of doing it, which is what you are saying. It's also right. How would I say? Okay, sharp. Now, I could be called a danger of, now she's a single entity doing her thing, excelling now and don't. Akumelanga mhlawumbe ngoku nibe careful also ukuthi ezinto zenu zingani drift apart.
Yes, that's correct.
So you see that there's also that possibility of
it's constant consultation. It's constant reliance.
To bring
it's constantly saying, hey, listen, babe, this is what I want to pursue. What do you think? And then she'll be like, oh, I think you should pursue that. And I think something that like me and my wife are realizing now is that we're understanding that when the spaces that you go to, the people that you engage with, the networks that you hold as an individual, start thinking about how can I factor in my person into this thing.
Yes.
Like, so for example, like she went to, I forgot what it's called. I think it's called Stream Africa, but she went to this 1 week conference. And again, like I go to a lot of conferences as well.
Yes.
So she went to this conference and she got, ignited so much, and she experienced so many things. And like she came back, she's like, Sheepers, you should have been there. Like, I was having this conversation about this and about this and about that. And I told them that, oh no, my husband does this. And similarly with me, when I go to places, I listen to people say, I'm like, hey, listen, I got this contact for you. And then like now all of a sudden we're sharing contact. And so for me, it's like understanding that like, we will never drift apart because we're doing things in isolation. We're not in isolation. We do things together, but we do know that we need that individuality to be able to pursue things. And we're constantly bolting onto each other.
As long as you guys communicate, you are sync, you're in sync. Yeah, as long as
what we need and what we want.
Yes, as long as, and it complements each other.
And again, like my wife, she also has so many ventures. She has podcasts, she does events. She's an owner of like a number of platforms as well. And there's no single platform or thing that she's done where she has not consulted me. There's no single thing where I've not advised her. And vice versa with the things that I do. I'll also be like, oh, you know what? There's this thing that I'm thinking about doing. And she knows that, no, do it. This is how I'll support you in doing it.
I think what we can take from everything you've just said and everything I've just said, as long as you guys are pouring into each other, as long as, if we can just conclude that point, as long as this person is pouring into you, is not an energy drainer. You guys are supporting each other's dreams and what. Then you match them, like you were saying, blah, blah, blah. But the most important thing for me, as long as you get someone who's supporting your dreams,
of course,
also who's not competing with you.
Yes.
Aha. You see, that's another one.
Yes.
Don't be in competition with each other. You are a driven Tumelo, she's a driven spouse. You said it, these entities, but now it shouldn't be a competition. Remember that constant competition. Baby, remember why we are doing this. You see, you need to connect from time to time. So no competition, one. Two, as long as you are pouring into each other.
Correct. It's exactly that.
It's exactly that. You understand? We need to, you understand? Because that's why I asked you that question of what about now moving away? Because competition can do that. Yeah, I want to be greater than you. I want to, you understand?